Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. It's happening pretty much just as expected. You know, like I've been saying, everybody's got a breaking point. We demonize a lot of these people in the mainstream media, and rightfully so. I'm not going to sit here and defend them. But at the end of the day, even though these people have sold their soul to the devil essentially, they're obviously paid mouthpieces who just do and say as they're told. Even though that's true, at the end of the day, they're still human. Or at least there might still be a little bit of human left inside that I guess logic and reason and basic morals and ethics will at some point appeal to. You know, at some point, it becomes hard to push the propaganda when the propaganda reaches extreme levels of absurdity. When Joe Biden's talking about pooping his pants and you're sitting there having to legitimately interact with Democrats who are feeding you nonstop BS 24/7 about how Joe Biden is lucid and oh, the vitality. At some point, some of these people are just going to say, you know what, I can't do this anymore, and they're going to break. And that seems to be exactly what's happening here. As one of CNN's most dishonest anchors, that's Jake Tapper, decides to briefly see the light, here's one of the most brutal, for Democrats that is, CNN segments I think I've ever witnessed. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. Alright folks, so imagine you wake up this morning and you're a blue-haired feminist leftoid, and you do what you normally do, you turn on either MSNBC or CNN, and this is what you're subjected to.
In reality, 72% of voters say that they believe President Biden is too old. That's according to CNN's most recent polling. Voters have been saying this for quite a long time. The reality is that the Democratic elites are mostly late to acknowledge these age and ability issues compared to the rest of the public. The elites have been forced to reckon with it after the debate just 11 days ago.
Look at my career. I've not had many of those nights. It was a terrible night, and I really regret it happened. But the fact of the matter is, how can you assure you're going to be on faith that can intervene on your way to go to, work tomorrow? Age wasn't, the idea I'm too old.
The fact of the matter is, how can you assure you're going to be out on your way to go, work tomorrow? Age wasn't, the idea that I'm too old. Keep in mind, that soundbite is supposed to be reassuring to those Democratic supporters who have gone wobbly. Many Democratic officials with whom I've spoken are worried that President Biden and his family and his inner circle appear to be in complete denial, not just about whatever might be wrong with him, but the state of his candidacy right now.
Could you imagine the horror? It almost feels like Democrats are vampires being exposed to the sunlight for the first time ever. I'm melting. The camera is finally focused in, and the transcript is being analyzed, but this time on the Democrat. It's about frickin' time. During the Trump days, every single word was analyzed. In fact, it was even worse than that. Not only were Trump's words analyzed, but they were misrepresented, they were presented without context, they were manipulated, twisted. Sometimes stuff was just invented. Trump said this thing, according to a secret anonymous source that nobody can confirm. Funnily enough, Joe Biden keeps saying one of those things that Donald Trump called World War II veterans suckers and losers. It was constant nitpicking, constant inventing, a constant hyper focus on every little word with Trump. And now finally with Joe Biden, we're doing the same thing. And that's why Democrats are throwing a tantrum. I played this clip for you guys yesterday.
I'm frustrated that the media is literally dissecting every word that comes out of Joe Biden's mouth and is ignoring the fact that the Republicans are about to nominate, again, a convicted felon who's an adjudicated who still denies that he lost the 2020 election.
Democrats are throwing a tantrum because the media is focusing on every little word. Good. In other words, they're panicking because the truth is finally coming out. The President of the United States, as I've been saying for years, cannot speak English. Jake Tapper goes through the Biden transcript, and the final reaction is some sort of a shrug. Well, can't exactly decipher what the president said there. Who knows what he said? Finally, we're having an honest conversation. We're focusing cluing in on what's actually happening. It's unfortunate that Democrat power had to be in jeopardy for most of these people to make the leap to actually doing their jobs, but at least some of these journalists are breaking. And thankfully, some Democrats are too. I mean, for Pete's sakes, yesterday we reported that Jerry Nadler was now joining in with others calling on Joe Biden to resign from the nomination. I mean, geez, when Jerry Nadler is observing you and saying you're not fit for office, Jerry Nadler, the guy who literally pooped his pants while standing at the podium with Nancy Pelosi.
And I also want to acknowledge Maxine Waters is doing some very important work on this subject, not part of this package, but part of preserving our democracy. With that, I'm pleased to yield to the distinguished.
Yeah, well, that's probably a sign it's probably time to give it up, Grandpa. Oh, and might as well mention this. I also saw a report that supposedly old retirees in nursing homes were reportedly roasting Joe Biden during his debate performance against Donald Trump. You see why it's getting increasingly difficult as a Democrat or as a left-wing Democrat propagandist talking head in the media, why it's getting increasingly difficult for these people to continue to lie. The button at the back of their brain, deep in their subconscious, is finally being pressed. It's fight or flight. It's happening with so many people. It's not just Jake Tapper. It's not just Jerry Nadler and other congressional Democrats. It's not just 72% of the electorate, as Jake Tapper suggested earlier. It's now mostly everyone, Republicans, independents, and Democrats alike. It's getting a whole lot harder to hide the truth when there's reports dropping that the White House is having monthly visits from a Parkinson's specialist. And that's now even snowballed into this on NBC News, a lifelong Democrat Parkinson's expert doctor, Mr. Tom Pitts, telling NBC News straight up that Joe Biden essentially has it, and then compares the media cover-up to what's been going on to essentially what a lot of these journalists have been engaging in, and what so many people are now jumping ship from. He compares their misinformation efforts to how the Soviets act. Take a look at this.
That's one of the hallmarks of Parkinsonism is rigidity and bradykinesia, slow movement. And he has that hallmark, especially with the low voice that said was a cold, hypophonia, a small monotone voice like this over time is a hallmark of Parkinsonism. I could have diagnosed him from across the mall. It's one of the easier movement disorders to diagnose, actually.
Right,
but it's so clinic. There's very little other, and I'm a Democrat. I always say about this.
Right.
It's just like, this guy is not a hard case.
But let me ask you, you're a Democrat, you're a doctor. You sound like you're frustrated with what the White House is saying.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because, I'm an American before everything. And I look at it and say, when I used to see Russia, Soviet Union, North Korea, when they just make outrageous things, like when North Korea can't keep the lights on and they say, it was some faulty power thing. I kind of hate that kind of stuff. They had 4 years, my own party had 4 years to find, this was a wreck in slow motion. And they had 4 years to find out of 350 Americans, one person that could take the place. And here we are the day before school trying to do the homework and replace a guy who's got a neurodegenerative disease.
The cat is freaking out of the bag. I don't know what Democrats are going to do. It's not my job to give them advice. And to be honest with you, I don't know what advice I could even give them at this point. I think it might be time to just sit back and take the L on this one. Holy moly, what a total unraveling disaster. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got for you guys on this one. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.